prepared for a tour today features loud noises, tram movements, fire effects, and many water effects. You want to have those cameras out for some great photo opportunities, but keep an eye on them so don't get wet. Finally, for your safety and those around you, please do not use selfie sticks while you are on board. And again, folks, very important here, if you're sitting in a blue seat, there's a very, very good chance you will get wet. Do not bother looking. They're all blue. And as always, everybody, it's an exciting time for us here at Universal Studios Hollywood. We've entered our second century of filmmaking. In that time, we've created thousands of movies, TV shows, commercials, music videos, you name it. And as evidence of all of that right about now, we're making our way down the Universal movie poster timeline. You'll see just a few of those thousands of movies represented on our side of the tram. That's right, the first one came out in 1914, David the 50th, and since then we released more than 4,000 films here at Universal. Of course, we've got our 3D glasses ready, we've got our cameras out for some great photo opportunities. When you think of it, at the end of the day, what else is a feature film besides just a series of still photos? We've got the projector at 24 photos or frames per second. You might be wondering, well, hey, how much feet of film does it actually take to make a movie? Well, some movies actually contain up to 1 million feet of film. Of course, playing in theaters right now, we've got your Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, you got your Chris Pratt, you got your Bryce Dallas Howard, you got your Jeff Goldblum coming back to join in the fun in that one. Another installment of a super fun franchise. That's the 5th one in that franchise, I believe, but certainly not the last one. Coming up on the right-hand side here, we've got our fire station. We've got our firemen and women keeping us safe here on the lot day in and day out. Thank you very much. Hey, everybody. You know, we're just about a minute or two underway, folks. We've already got some big-time movie history coming up on the left-hand side. In just a bit, we're going to pass by our Soundstage 12. That's our biggest and our oldest soundstage, one of 28 different ones we have here on the lot. And so much classic history has come out of Soundstage 12. It was used for the original Frankenstein and Dracula films. The first one from the 30s I'm talking about. It was used as Al Pacino's mansion in Scarface, Back to the Future, and of course the first Jurassic Park to make this little spiel come full circle. In just a bit, we're going to make a little right-hand turn. So much history has come out of that one. Take a look.
Say hello to my dear friend.
And some more recent hits like Tropic Thunder and Inception were filmed inside Soundstage 12. We're in the front lot now, used for shows like Colony, Superstore, and Hollywood Game Night.
I know it's hot in here, but let's have some patience for one another.
Yeah, you know, the heat makes us all act.
If your face stays where it is, it's gonna get punched.
Whose name is worth more in Scrabble tiles? Uzo Aduba or David Oyelowo? Uzo Aduba.
Passing by a bunch of sound stages here on your left, you might be wondering, well, hey, why use the sound stage? Well, they really come in handy. There's a controlled environment and they're soundproof, and you can create pretty much any kind of environment you want in there, whether it's daytime or nighttime, indoors or outdoors. Make rain, snow, you can make anything happen in those stages. And on the left also we're passing by stages 17 and 16, used for long-running TV shows like Wagon Train, Desperate Housewives, Leave It to Beaver. In that order, of course, with those stages, along with Soundstage 21, which is right behind me, they're all used for Film Superstore, very funny show with America Ferrera, Ben Feldman, and Mark McKinney. That airs Thursday nights on NBC. You know, our TV history is rich. It goes back almost 80 years now, with our very first transmission being of the opening ceremonies of the 1939 New York World's Fair. And speaking of the 30s, that's when Universal kind of created the monster movie. You know, the likes of Frankenstein, Wolfman, Dracula, Bride of Frankenstein, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Invisible Man, it goes on and on. They all got their start here at Universal, and specifically in Little Europe here in the lot. Now, Little Europe, that's currently used of The Good Place with Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. Check out The Good Place.
You, Eleanor Shellstrop, are dead.
Cool.
This location, the afterlife, come on. I've never ever seen this. You're in the good place.
I'm not supposed to be here. I can't risk going to the bad place.
Well, maybe it's not all that bad.
Hi there. How can I help you?
What is the bad place like?
Well, it doesn't sound awesome.
right here, we're passing by our big friends guarding Soundstages 43 and 44. And inside both those Soundstages, they actually filmed The Good Place with Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. Been filming that show a lot the last couple of weeks here. And now, coming up on your left-hand side, folks, we've got my good buddy Ted over here. Now, Ted, he's having his typical evening martini. And, you know, Ted marks the beginning of our production bungalows. This is where some of the game's top writers and producers work their scripts into shape and get them ready to start filming. It's currently home to Illumination Entertainment, which brought to you the Despicable Me franchise, Minions, so much more. But back in the days of exclusive contracts, I'm talking 1960s and earlier, oftentimes the star would work with just one movie studio at a time. If they worked here, they could use these buildings for their own personal offices, wardrobe rooms, makeup, anything really. Names like Rock Hudson, Tony Curtis, Doris Day, Jimmy Stewart, later on Paul Newman, Clint Eastwood, Sylvester Stallone, Dan Aykroyd, Tom Cruise, just naming a few of the big-time stars that worked here in these bungalows at one time or another. On the right, we're passed by the Bud Westmore building. You ever seen a movie or TV show of fake soda cans? Some kind of brand name, you know, is made up and not real. They design that cool stuff in there. They build sets, they build props. There's even a mini hospital inside of there in case things go really wrong, but they usually don't. On the left, we're passing by our most famous production bungalow. That's bungalow 5195 we're passing by right now. This is home to Alfred Hitchcock for many years. The famed director brought to you Rear Window, Vertigo, Psycho, The Bird, so many classics. One of the all-time great directors. They actually offered that office to Mr. Steven Spielberg, but he didn't want to take it up. He thought those shoots were too big to fill, but he ended up filling them anyways. On the left, you got two stages here used to film Will and Grace, which is brought back to the small screen. Along with Deborah Messing, Eric McCormick, Megan Mullally, and Sean Hayes have all returned for that show. And pretty much everything left to do that show is done here, from filming, production offices, writing offices, wardrobe, hair, makeup, just about everything. Everybody, we've officially left that front lot behind. We've made our way down to the back lot where the world is really just around the corner. We shoot the big stuff out here. I'm talking exterior scenes on a very, very large scale. Any buildings out here you see what we call facades, which are just really the fronts or the sides of the buildings usually. You build only what the camera needs to see. Your lovely imaginations help fill in the rest. Whatever appears to be brick or stone is probably just foam, rubber, or fiberglass. And on the right now, passing by our Brownstone Street, one of our most widely used filming locations here on the lot. And you know, Chip Carey lived on Brownstone Street once. Take a look.
Place the dog!
I'm in the shower!
Inside bad, outside good. Inside bad, outside good.
Oh, you're done now. Great. B-E-A beautiful.
That's right, filmed off to your right. Poor Doug had to wait several months between takes just to use the restroom. We're going to make our way a little bit further down this path here, folks. We've already got some more big-time movie history coming up on your left in just one bit here. Going to make this little right-hand turn, and then on your left, we're passing by our Courthouse Square, used as the classic To Kill a Mockingbird as a courthouse in that one. If you don't recognize it from that, though, you almost certainly recognize it as the clock tower and name a scene in Back to the Future. That's right, that's where Doc and Marty McFly went Back to the Future. Take a look.
It was actually the back lot in the Courthouse Square that inspired the entire climax to Back to the Future.
I had scenes up in the clock tower on that ledge. There was a ledge about that wide, and I was standing inside looking at the ledge, and I already had vertigo. I just thought, there's no way in the world, no way I'm going to stand on that. I was up there for quite a while. Of course, I had a cable.
It probably looks a little bit different than when you last saw it in Back to the Future. That's because that scene was so iconic, that building so recognizable, that they had to change the way that it looks in order to use it again for different productions. Coming up on your right-hand side here, folks, we're going to pass by our New York Street here, often used for productions, and they're getting ready for a new one, it looks like. Our New York Street had its own set of Broadway theaters and even its own Macy's. And you know, my co-host Jimmy Fallon, he got a start in New York with SNL. That's where he currently films Tonight Show. Once again, here's Mr. Jimmy Fallon.
Hey everyone, welcome to New York. I got my start right here in New York on Saturday Night Live. This is actually my old neighborhood. Once got mugged over there by an old woman, tough lady. This is my favorite hot dog guy. Hey, buddy, how's it going? Remember me? No. Just like old times. Gotta love New York City. Hey, I'm walking here. It's cool, guys. I was just walking there. So it's not exactly New York, but a lot of times when you see New York in the movies, it was shot right here on the Universal Metro sets. If you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Even if you make it here on the Universal lot.
On the right, we pass by our London Square, used as a residential street in London, or even as buildings of Parliament often. You might be thinking these buildings are what, like 40, 50 feet tall? How do they possibly compare to the giant skyscrapers in the real New York? Well, or the real London too. A lot of these buildings are built with a technique called forced perspective, which means the details at the very top, they're designed to look smaller than the details at the very bottom, which helps give the camera the illusion these buildings are actually much taller than they actually are. Metro sets here also used to film a recent episode of American Ninja Warrior. It's cool for that show. They turn the entire Metro set area into one giant triathlon obstacle course they have contestants compete upon. And also this filmed here. Oh, never mind. Don't have time for that clip. Over the years, folks, Universal has worked with some of the biggest directors of all time, from Alfred Hitchcock and Steven Spielberg, we've already talked about. But let's not forget about the Academy Award-winning director, Mr. Peter Jackson.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to direct movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up with adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along for the ride. Now, we have created this 3D immersive experience, so you're going to have your glasses ready. Don't put them on yet, just have them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
Ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls, please do hold on to your belongings and remain seated at all times. Welcome to Skull Island.
We always know when people are looking. They're looking straight ahead. They're looking at the shot that we're working on.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, unlike the movies that we're used to working on, there's no cuts because it's one giant shot. This tram that's driving along through Skull Island is where the plane is from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away.
We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting them to the audience, it's a hell of a ride.
Going back back to that original King Kong from the early 30s that Peter Jackson was talking about. For that King Kong, the first King Kong, I used a little puppet. It was 18 inches tall. You can see just how far filmmaking has come over the years. And also during Kong, you might have noticed we kind of grew another tram there. That tram went on screen and became part of the film. Whenever you see that, whenever you see a vehicle featured prominently in a film or TV show, that's what we refer to as a picture car. We got some awesome picture cars coming up for you in just 1 second. And now, folks, it's nighttime. It's starting to get a little bit dark here. So I'm going to go off mic, off camera rather, the rest of the night. Of course, we got that gyrosphere back from Jurassic World. It's back here on our picture car line. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom now in theaters. And last but not least, here at the very end, we've got the big old tank here from Transformers. And in case you're wondering, that's made mostly out of wood. But now, everybody, it's time to leave our picture cars behind and take a little trip on down to Costa Rica. Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to Jurassic Park.
Well, thank you, Sir Attenborough. Very good to be here. Now, we're going to pass by some vehicles and props that are featured in the Jurassic Park franchise. The most recent film in that franchise, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But before that, the first Jurassic World, that featured a pretty funny cameo from a famous musician / restaurateur. Take a look. That's right. There's Jimmy Buffett, trying to keep those margaritas from spilling as hordes of pterodons attack his restaurant. And Universal CityWalk has its own Margaritaville now, which you can experience a little bit later on tonight. And we're passed by various props and set pieces from the Jurassic Park franchise right about now. That's 5 different films. And as you can see, we also have our lovely, lovely dinosaurs all locked up nice and safely in their cages. And these cages are empty. Uh-oh. It's okay. Hear that dinosaurs are rarely attacked on Margaritaville anymore. And I think that's probably because they're too busy attacking us right now. Happy birthday. Numerous animals on the studio tour. Just about every single one of them fits. We passed by the Whoville lab from Lost World Jurassic Park, also made mostly out of wood. In fact, one of the few things around here that's not made out of wood are these giant tree trunks to your left-hand side, made mostly out of fiberglass. And they do that because oftentimes real-life plants and trees, they don't hold up too well against the hot heat that comes off the lights from productions. And in those Jurassic Park films, extreme weather played a very important role in setting just the right mood. Here in sunny Southern California, we don't get much rain. It's usually just boring old sunshine day in and day out like we had earlier today. So whenever we need a different type of weather for production, we usually have to create that ourselves. We'll show you how that's done in just 1 second. But first, here's an update on the weather forecast for today's tour with today's show's Al Roker. Al?
Hi everybody, here's today's forecast for the Universal Backlot. It's going to be sunny and dry at 6 Points, Texas. Cool and cloudy in Little Europe. Expect snow and sleet on New York Street. And we've got a high chance of fog and precipitation for Skull Island, Amity Island, and Isla Nublar. That's your forecast for today. Now here's a look at what's going on in your neck of the line.
Flash flood warning, that's weird. It's not even raining or anything. Well, anyways, we're here in the Old Mexico portion of the backlot. Used to film one of my personal favorites, The Three Amigos, with Steve Martin, Martin Short, Chevy Chase, Nacho Libre, the Jack Black, and oh wow, looks like Al's forecast is right on. This is exactly how we create different types of weather for the movies, at least rain anyways. We have our overhead sprinkler system that shoots that water straight up into the air and falls back down into the earth. Looks real natural on camera. We got some strobe lights creating those lighting effects you were seeing, and some hidden sound speakers that produce that right on cue. And you know what? That's a lot of rain now. We can go ahead and shut that off and end the demonstration. Okay, I guess when it rains, it pours. And wait, did you hear something? It's like a low, rumbly, shaky, oh my goodness, here it comes kind of a sound. Oh my goodness, here it comes, a flash flood. When that flash flood has completed, the water is sent back to the top of the hill where it'll go into our water storage tank system to be used again and again. So don't worry, it's all recycled. And again, Three Amigos filmed here, Nacho Libre, Jack Black, and of course this.
You can't outrun the wolf, kid!
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Hang on, funny poster!
Passing by a number of our Western sets now, used for a big top-secret production right now. On the right-hand side, passing by our Denver Street, featured some of the biggest Western brawls of all time.
Maybe you're just gonna stir things up here. But I am.
Dare you hit that man?
Mine hit the ground first. Mine was taller.
Hey, by the way, folks, our tour is approximately at the halfway mark, so I'll remind everybody to stay seated during the entire tour. The studio is private property. If at any point you drop your phone and just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the E-cord to get my attention. I'll be back to assist you, but please do remain seated on the tram. On the left, may not look like a whole lot, but that was at one point the lagoon from Creature of the Black Lagoon, classic horror film way back in the 50s. And on the right here, we've got some bungalows and trailers just beyond that. Of course, we got that gyrosphere back from Jurassic World. It's back here on our picture car line. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom now in theaters. And last but not least, here at the very end, we've got the big old tank here from Transformers. And in case you're wondering, that's made mostly out of wood. But now, everybody, it's time to leave our picture cars behind and take a little trip on down to Costa Rica. Ladies and gentlemen,
welcome to Jurassic Park.
Well, thank you, Sir Attenborough. Very good to be here. Now, we're going to pass by some vehicles and props that are featured in the Jurassic Park franchise. The most recent film in that franchise, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. But before that, the first Jurassic World, that featured a pretty funny cameo from a famous musician / restaurateur. Take a look. That's right. There's Jimmy Buffett, trying to keep those margaritas from spilling as hordes of pterodons attack his restaurant. And Universal CityWalk has its own Margaritaville now, which you can experience a little bit later on tonight. And we're passed by various props and set pieces from the Jurassic Park franchise right about now. That's 5 different films. And as you can see, we also have our lovely, lovely dinosaurs all locked up nice and safely in their cages. And these cages are empty. Uh-oh. It's okay. Hear that dinosaurs rarely attack that Margaritaville anymore. And I think that's probably because they're too busy attacking us right now. Happy birthday. Numerous animals on the studio tour. Just about every single one of them fits. We passed by the mobile lab from Lost World Jurassic Park, also made mostly out of wood. In fact, one of the few things around here that's not made out of wood are these giant tree trunks to your left-hand side, made mostly out of fiberglass. And they do that because oftentimes real-life plants and trees, they don't hold up too well against the hot heat that comes off the lights from productions. And in those Jurassic Park films, extreme weather played a very important role in setting just the right mood. Here in sunny Southern California, we don't get much rain. It's usually just boring old sunshine day in and day out like we had earlier today. So whenever we need a different type of weather for production, we usually have to create that ourselves. We'll show you how that's done in just 1 second. But first, here's an update on the weather forecast for today's tour with today's show's Al Roker. Al?
Hi, everybody. Here's today's forecast for the Universal Backlot. It's going to be sunny and dry at 6 Points, Texas. Cool and cloudy in Little Europe. Expect snow and sleet on New York Street. And we've got a high chance of fog and precipitation for Skull Island, Amity Island, and Isla Nublar. That's your forecast for today. Now here's a look at what's going on in your neck of the line.
flash flood warning. That's weird. It's not even raining or anything. Well, anyways, we're here in the Old Mexico portion of the backlot. Used to film one of my personal favorites, The Three Amigos, with Steve Martin, Martin Short, Chevy Chase, Nacho Libre, the Jack Black, and oh wow, looks like Al's forecast is right on. This is exactly how we create different types of weather for the movies, at least rain anyways. We have our overhead sprinkler system that shoots that water straight up into the air and falls back down into the earth. Looks real natural on camera. We got some strobe lights creating those lighting effects you were seeing, and some hidden sound speakers that produce that right on cue. And you know what? That's a lot of rain now. We can go ahead and shut that off and end the demonstration. Okay, I guess when it rains, it pours. And wait, did you hear something? It's like a low, rumbly, shaky, oh my goodness, here it comes kind of a sound. Oh my goodness, here it comes, a flash flood. And when that flash flood has completed, the water is sent back to the top of the hill where it'll go into our water storage tank system to be used again and again. So don't worry, it's all recycled. And again, Three Amigos filmed here, Nacho Libre, Jack Black, and of course this.
You can't outrun the wolf, kid!
Yeah, we'll see about that.
Hang on, funny posted!
Passing by a number of our Western sets now, used for a big top secret production right now. On the right hand side, passing by our Denver Street, featured some of the biggest Western brawls of all time.
Maybe we're just gonna stir things up here. Let our heroes.
Mine hit the ground first. Mine was taller.
Hey, by the way, folks, our tour is approximately at the halfway mark, so I'll remind everybody to stay seated during the entire tour. The studio is private property. If at any point you drop your phone, I just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the E-cord to get my attention. I'll be back to assist you, but please do remain seated on the tram. On the left, may not look like a whole lot, but that was at one point the Lagoon from Creature of the Black Lagoon, classic horror film way back in the 50s. And on the right here, we've got some bungalows and trailers. Just beyond that, there's a set of Home and Family. That films Monday through Friday here in the lots. That's on the Hallmark Channel. But a real treat now here, folks. We're about to take you in for a quick behind-the-scenes look at Soundstage 50. They've been filming this big blockbuster action sequence, some really cool stuff. But while we're inside of here, please do remain seated at all times. Various props and set pieces, got different lighting instruments here. They've been filming this one for a bit now. And you also know, nothing to worry about, folks. Just one of those slight color breaks we feel from time to time out here. Everything's just, hey, okay. You know what? You might want to hold on, folks. I think this is the big one. Okay, all right. I think the worst of it's over now. Or maybe not. Just lying to you all, I was acting. There's a big difference, and you all deserve a bigger.
What's going on?
Let's get out of here! The water main just broke!
You know, that was all pretty stressful, all that shaking and rattling. We all deserve some nice rest and relaxation after that, huh? How about some time at the beach? Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the small New England town of Amity that was famously terrorized by a giant fat-eating shark and one of Universal's biggest hits, Jaws. As you can see, the people of Amity are breathing a sigh of relief nowadays. They've caught that giant shark. We got some local police divers in the water right now. We got to get them out of there. Hey guys, you missed one. There's still a shark in the water. Not sure you can hear me. George, get out of the water, man. There's a shark in there. Poor Officer George. That's the 83rd time that's happened to him today. Now, please do remain seated as we make our way across the deck here. We gotta find a safe place to hang out for a bit. In fact, I think our only hope is if that shark gets that bait and attached to that yellow barrel in the water right there. Oh, he's got the bait. Oh, he's got the entire pier. Uh-oh. That's an oldie but a goodie, huh? That's our friend Bruce the Shark there. And you know, they actually nicknamed that shark in the film Jaws Bruce after Spielberg's lawyer, funny enough. It turns out that Bruce was as much of a terror off-screen as he was on-screen. He had constant mechanical problems and sank to the bottom of the ocean on the very first day of filming. All these problems just kept adding up and adding up. Eventually, the production was delayed 100 days over schedule, which ended up tripling the budget. And you know, you think of Spielberg now, one of the biggest directors in town, right? But back then, that was his first real big-time film. All these problems, they almost put his career in jeopardy. Take a look.
That's a much maligned shark. The shark.
We gotta get him out of there. Hey guys, you missed one. There's still a shark in the water. Not sure you can hear me. George, get out of the water, man. There's a shark in there. Poor Officer George. That's the 83rd time that's happened to him today. Now, please do remain seated as we make our way across the deck here. We gotta find a safe place to hang out for a bit. In fact, I think our only hope is if that shark gets that bait and attached to that yellow barrel in the water right there. Oh, he's got the bait. Oh, he's got the entire pier. Uh-oh. That's an oldie but a goodie, huh? That's our friend Bruce the Shark there. And you know, they actually nicknamed that shark in the film Jaws Bruce after Spielberg's lawyer, funny enough. It turns out that Bruce was as much of a terror off-screen as he was on-screen. He had constant mechanical problems and sank to the bottom of the ocean on the very first day of filming. All these problems just kept adding up and adding up. Eventually, the production was delayed 100 days over schedule, which ended up tripling the budget. And And you know, you think of Spielberg now, one of the biggest directors in town, right? But back then, that was his first real big-time film. All these problems, they almost put his career in jeopardy. Take a look.
That's a much maligned shark. The shark.
The shark is not working.
We just waited around. We just waited and waited and waited.
The shark worked well enough for a while there to get the biggest result. So I really owe the shark a lot.
And in case you missed it, for a couple of years there, Jaws was the highest grossing film of all time. It actually kind of became known as the first ever real summer blockbuster. You know, you hear that term summer blockbuster, that kind of came from Jaws. Before Jaws came out, big time movies didn't usually come out in the summer or the middle of the year like that. And Jaws kind of changed the game, became known as the first real ever summer blockbuster. On the left, we're passing by several suburban homes often used for filming. There was actually a mustard-colored house there. That was actually Boo Radley's house in the classic To Kill a Mockingbird. On the right, we have our chicken ranch here. This is what we call a practical set, which means in this one, you can film outside and inside, upstairs and downstairs, anywhere really. Many practical sets have their own fully functional bathrooms, their own working kitchens too, like someone's house, but with a whole bunch of crew and cameras inside. In direct contrast, right behind the practical set, we have our facade. Again, usually just the fronts or the sides of the buildings. Now, folks, we'll be making our way into our Colonial Street here, but some of you may know it a little bit better as Wisteria Lane from ABC's Desperate Housewives. Let me show you around the neighborhood. On the left here, we're passed by a beige and white house that was owned by Gabriel Solis, played by Eva Longoria.
Oh, I like this part.
And that is a bunny. That's a real bunny. It's not a robotic one. Also on the left, we have a beige and stone house here. That was owned by Susan Delfino, played by Terry Hatcher on that show. And one more time on the left, we're going to pass by a house with a red tree house out in front. That was owned by the Lynette Scavo on that show, played by the Emmy Award-winning Felicity Huffman.
If there is one thing everyone in suburbia can appreciate, it's a good neighbor.
It's not just all about those housewives, though. Colonial Street has a long and storied history. Check it out. Coming up on the right here, we're going to pass by either a purple or a lilac-colored house, whatever you want to call it. This was the Munsters house way back when. But those housewives, they had pretty good control over Colonial Street here for a good 8 years when that show was going on here. Nothing else filmed on Colonial Street besides that show. We're passing by that facade again on the right, and then coming up on your left here we have, oh wait a minute, that's like a 1970s Charger. That's not supposed to be there. Oh well, I'm sure that has nothing to do with anything else that'll happen later on in the tour. We passed by that facade, folks, and a whole bunch were used for this film here.
You're the man who won the research. You're as cuddly as a cactus, and as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch.
You're a bad banana with a greasy black beard.
One of the biggest creative challenges that we faced on How the Grinch Stole Christmas was to bring the storybook world of Dr. Seuss to life. Some of the most talented artists in Hollywood worked for months to create a living, breathing Whoville. When it was all done, they had built an entire city. And the fantasy world of Dr. Seuss became a reality.
And that's right, folks. You thought you'd never make it, but you're here. Welcome to Whoville, or at least part of the set of Whoville, How the Grinch Stole Christmas anyways. Starring Jim Carrey, of course, directed by Ron Howard. This is one of the biggest productions we ever had here on the lot. In fact, they used 2 million feet of styrofoam to build all the sets. Almost 2,000 candy canes were used, and enough fake snow was used to cover 9 different football fields. Those little Whoville.
The shark was not working. We just waited around. We just waited and waited and waited.
The shark worked well enough. For a while there, he had the biggest result. So I really owe the shark a lot.
And in case you missed it, for a couple of years there, Jaws was the highest grossing film of all time. It actually kind of became known as the first ever real summer blockbuster. You know, you hear that term summer blockbuster, that kind of came from Jaws. Before Jaws came out, big time movies didn't usually come out in the summer or the middle of the year like that. And Jaws kind of changed the game, became known as the first real ever summer blockbuster. On the left, we're passing by several suburban homes often used for filming. There was actually a mustard-colored house there. That was actually Boo Radley's house in the classic To Kill a Mockingbird. On the right, we have our chicken ranch here. This is what we call a practical set, which means in this one, you can film outside and inside, upstairs and downstairs, anywhere really. Many practical sets have their own fully functional bathrooms, their own working kitchens too, like someone's house, but with a whole bunch of crew and cameras inside. In direct contrast, right behind the practical set, we have our facade. Again, usually just the fronts or the sides of the buildings. Now, folks, we'll be making our way into our Colonial Street here, but some of you may know it a little bit better as Wisteria Lane from ABC's Desperate Housewives. Let me show you around the neighborhood. On the left here, passed by a beige and white house that was owned by Gabriel Solis, played by Eva Longoria.
Oh, I like this part.
And that is a bunny. That's a real bunny. It's not a robotic one. Also on the left, we have a beige and stone house here. That was owned by Susan Delfino, played by Terry Hatcher on that show. And one more time on the left, we're going to pass by a house with a red tree house out in the front. That was owned by the Lynette Scavo on that show, played by the Emmy Award-winning Felicity Huffman.
If there is one thing everyone in suburbia can appreciate, it's a good neighbor.
What the heck? Let's move that.
It's not just all about those housewives, though. Colonial Street has a long and storied history. Check it out. Coming up on the right here, we're going to pass by either a purple or a lilac-colored house, whatever you want to call it. This was the Munsters house way back when. But those housewives, they had pretty good control over Colonial Street here for a good 8 years when that show was going on here. Nothing else filmed on Colonial Street besides that show. Passed by that facade again on the right, and then coming up on your left here we have oh wait a minute, that's like a 1970s Charger. That's not supposed to be there. Oh well, I'm sure that has nothing to do with anything else that'll happen later on in the tour. We passed by that facade, folks, and a whole bunch were used for this film here.
You're as cuddly as a cactus, and as charming as an eel, Mr. Grinch.
You're a bad banana with a greasy black
One of the biggest creative challenges that we faced on How the Grinch Stole Christmas was to bring the storybook world of Dr. Seuss to life. Some of the most talented artists in Hollywood worked to create a living, breathing Whoville. When it was all done, they built an entire city. And the fantasy world of Dr. Seuss became a reality.
And that's right, folks. You thought you'd never make it, but you're here. Welcome to Whoville, or at least part of the set of Whoville, from How the Grinch Stole Christmas anyways. Starring Jim Carrey, of course, directed by Ron Howard. This is one of the biggest productions we ever had here on the lot. In fact, they used 2 million feet of styrofoam to build all the sets. Almost 2,000 candy canes were used, and enough fake snow was used to cover 9 different football fields. Those little Whoville vehicles are made originally from golf carts that kind of just slapped on a Whoville exterior shell on top. But of course, those residents of Whoville had more than the Grinch to put up with, because out here in the back lot, they live right next door. That's right, to the Bates Motel. The Bates Motel from that 1960 classic by Alfred Hitchcock, Psycho, starring Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh. That's one of the all-time great horror/thriller films. We're going to take this little road on the left here that we call the Psychopath, and straight up the Psychopath we have the historic Psycho House. If you're lucky, you might even catch Mother hanging around the top left window. Of course, that famous shower scene, probably the most famous of any scene in any of Hitchcock's movies. And again, the Psycho House here on the left. Hitchcock actually built this one from scratch, except for the roof. That came from a house in a film called Harvey, a Jimmy Stewart film back in 1950. Hello, Mother. And right behind the Psycho House, I'm sure you've already noticed, the epic colossal crash site from Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds. Stop the tram here for just a bit, so if you want to stand up, stretch your legs, grab a picture or two, you got about 43 seconds to do all that. You think of Spielberg, you think of those old school practical special effects, you know what I'm talking about, real explosions, real props, real set pieces, but for War of the Worlds he used a bunch of computer stuff, a lot of special effects, CGI, computer-generated imagery, except for that there on the left. That's actually a real plane, a real 747, one that was destroyed specifically for this scene, and this set, one of the biggest ever created.
The airplane crash site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around a vision that Steven had.
When we first began to sit down to talk about the War of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good.
You're doing good. Keep pressing me. Listen now, man. Listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Got them closed? Robbie, get in. Get in.
When this area isn't being used for filming or for tours, they can actually use it as a place to train emergency rescue dogs. It seems that the destruction and the rubble helps simulate one of those disaster scenarios that's suitable to train those dogs in. And folks, for approximately 10 minutes when we have the tour here, we're returning to the theme park shortly. Remember to pull the emergency cord if you need any assistance, so please remain seated at all times. It's getting dark, but you can still see it on the right. We're going to pass by a large wooden cabin that was used in a great film, The Great Outdoors, with the late, great John Candy. Don't talk bad. Then off in the distance there, we've got that large blue wall, and on that they can insert digitally pretty much any kind of image they want onto it. There's also a big pit or reservoir right in front of that blue wall. They'll fill up with a whole bunch of water, and they'll usually insert an image of like a sky or an ocean or a combo of those two things, and then all together, that creates a scene on the ocean or a lake. They did that for the film Sully. Check it out on a CGI or computer-generated imagery used for this one here.
Evacuate.
Okay, we're getting some breaking news here, folks. You're not going to believe this. This is crazy. Apparently, we have someone on board this tram who's in the Federal Witness Protection Program, and I guess we're in a bit of danger right now. It's just to play it safe, till things calm down. We're going to hide out in this auto body chop shop / party hangout.
We need your help. We don't want the syndicate tracking us here. So put away your cameras and turn off your cell phones. One flash or one ringtone could give us away.
I need y'all to take this real serious.
Okay, pull into the next bay and we'll meet you in there. We need your help. We don't want the syndicate tracking us here. So put away your cameras and turn off your cell phones. One flash or one ringtone could give us away.
I need y'all to take this real serious.
Okay, pull into the next bay and we'll meet you in there.
This is what we doing. This is the race day after party. And what the other?
Roman Pierce, FBI, don't move. Neil, that's right, party's over.
You know how long I took to iron this shirt, man? I'm not.
You're under arrest right now.
Baby, just back up a little bit. I got you. It's lightweight.
First of all, I don't work for you. Oh, really? Well, tell me, Roman, who do you work for?
We don't work for nobody. I suggest you clear out of here, otherwise we can't guarantee your safety.
Guarantee my safety? I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours. Escort this novice out.
Let's go, Cookie Puss.
You got an ugly suit on, man. It's cheap.
Somebody out there really pissed off Shaw. It's gonna get ugly fast.
Yeah, don't worry. Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
Are you kidding me, Roman? You didn't shut off your phone, bro?
I gotta call you back. I'm in the middle of something.
See what I'm talking about?
Call you back.
Man.
It was on vibrate. Sean Trace does. Ops can't hold him forever. Letty, Roman, we're up. Driver, move that vehicle. It's about to get real